Messed up on the thumbnail this morning. God dang, I messed up to like 3 different times already. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today's morning stream, we finally get some tariffs to go into effect, and we see that we are opening up not necessarily with a big gap up or big gap down. So very interesting. And we did talk about the fact that people could get IV crushed if you just end up going sideways. So that'll be interesting. But later on today, we do have the FOMC minutes coming out. So we will be watching that. We will be live later today on Rumble. If you want to join us for Rumble, if you want to start making that account this morning, the link is down there in the description. We do watch the Power Hour stream in the afternoon towards an hour and a half before close, whatever time that is for you. Now, we do have those updated daily expected moves. I had to help out with Ari last night, but for today, we did put that out on Patreon, and we do have the SPY sitting here at 519.19 to the upside and 473.77 to the downside. Still looking if from these points right here, can we make some kind of divergence, or is this just going to turn up and we're going to be able to go positive? That would be interesting. As of right now, the 30-minute is pointing down, suggesting downside is higher potential. We have yet to get a curl up on the 2-hour, but we still should be aware, even if we see a nice move like this, that the 2-hour can drop back down, and we can always see that next push lower in order to create a 2-hour divergence to really solidify if this is going to be a base. If we do not see those buyers come in, if we do not see the confirmations here, we have to be very cautious. This is a very, very cautious area to be. All right, we have not seen that upside yet. So that 1% moment is still on the table, even though this is a 95% line in the sand and this is a 68% line. Hey, well, that would say we're more likely to end up here. But if things look like they're going to end down here, we need to be paying attention if that buy never comes back in, and wait for confirmations. Just to get you guys over to the Qs real quick, they are a similar scenario. Holding up actually a little bit better, right? Coming into that zone and just seeing that wick up from this bar. Just a tiny, tiny bit better, but notice how close it is to the center line, and that's actually going positive right now, so very interesting. But your daily expected moves for this, 436.11. I'm going to double check this just to make sure I updated it. 436.11 to the upside and 396.01 to the downside, which takes place in the bottom of our zone. That still would be a potential divergence point. We'll pay attention to that throughout the day. What I'm going to do right now is I am going to update the bottom right corner to have those daily expected moves so that if we're clicking around today, you can see where those are at. Go, kaboom, there you go. So daily expected moves will be in that bottom right corner. Put that little daily expected moves thing there. Gold pulled back to reload. The rocket fuel looks like a blast off is happening. And GLD, yeah, this is kind of what's going on here. We notice that the 2-hour down below the center line. So we're still looking for, hey, is this going to make a lower high? But that is some strength coming out the gate. The daily scale was able to cross with divergence. So just be aware that that 2-hour, we could be doing one of those situations with the right shoulder that could have been. But as of right now, you haven't even curled up the 2-hour chart. It's probably good to look at futures for some of these guys more so and just see like, hey, the 2-hour's up there. Hey, if the 2-hour crosses down, that's bad. If the 4-hour can cross back up, that would be a good thing. And the 4-hour is cross saying upside, 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 but we're looking if that is going to fail before it goes into positive territory. This doesn't have to be all rainbow and sunshine always, but right now it looks like it. And then if it doesn't cross that center line, if the 2-hour can confirm back down, look for divergences or something. But at the same time, the 4-hour confirms this down in some kind of way, we could head to lower levels just for gold. But thank you for bringing it up. Very, very nice. I do want to pop over to volatility this morning. Let's take a look at this. Look at that 4-hour. Look at the 2-hour chart. What do you notice on the 2-hour chart here, guys? What do you notice on the 2-hour chart that could be a good sign for some kind of downward move from the daily chart? Well, that would be a 2-hour divergence. This 2-hour divergence here, it is slightly far away from the center line, so we have to be aware of little reactions and anything that can turn this thing back up as it's getting to that good level. If we can hold up and turn to the upside, it would mean, hey, we might get above a reading of 61, 68. Very interesting to me. But for the time being, if this is a double top in some way and that confirms down, that does say there is a pretty good probability to turn down the daily chart. The daily chart is very positive. We'll watch for lower highs, right? In the market, right? I know people are talking about V-shape, people are talking about short squeeze and all those things. Even if we do get a short squeeze, the more likely thing is lower high in these type of scenarios. If we look at the SPY on a daily chart, we go, that is extremely deep. What do we always say when it is extremely deep? Well, it's going to have to hold up over time. It's going to have to get to key levels and break through those key levels, or else you could see some kind of squeeze that squeezes to the upside and then just falls right back down. Right as you get up into these areas, it could just crash right back down. So we will be aware of that. We will use our weekly, monthly, expected moves for that, and all of our skills with what we look for around those moves. So daily expected moves in the bottom right corner, make sure to get those on your chart if you're looking at the SPY, SPX, or the QQQs. And yeah, I think we'll be going through these things, but really the market's opening at a pretty good spot here. So we'll see what happens next. We'll see what happens with the FOMC around 1 p.m. today. Exactly. Yeah, that's how it's been, logic, right? That's how it's been a lot of the time. And that's just potentially, you're pretty negative gamma, right? Probably. So if you see this, you see rips, you see them see it sold. You see rips, you see them get sold. That's why the hedge was taken in this area, right? Even though I have longs, I can hedge those longs for a short period of time because of the environment that we're in. And now I could say, hey, today potentially I could take off those hedges and think about, do I want to keep my longs at this point? What am I seeing? Am I seeing good confirmation? Maybe I hold that hedge until I see what happens today. And then if that curls up, confirming this divergence right here, I say, okay, I take off the hedge, and now my long should start to produce a little bit. That's how I'm thinking about it right now. But big expected moves. You have a weekly expected move again today. So how's Amazon and Tesla looking? I think things look pretty good for both of these. I think this is great for Amazon to hold this floor. This is, weirdly enough, even though it's hard to see, it's kind of wonky with these moments. This is divergence, just so you are aware. This flat across like this, that is potential divergence. So if you cross up, look how good you are going across that center line, going positive. It would be a good thing. Is it going to produce something big? Well, it would overall say a 2-hour move is possible, right? We do see the potential divergence forming here on the 2-hour, but it's a very wonky look. So you want to be aware that you can get a nice 2-hour move that then fails to come down and create those actual divergence points. It's kind of like back in the day, right? Just a few weeks ago, those complexities, right? The complexities in here can start to shape up, and you could see that 2-hour just go up and then curl down, and then finally give you that really good divergence because the first one overall failed. So it's a very rip around kind of market. You got to be managing risk pretty much at all times and be pretty quick with it when you are. And if you're someone with conviction, you're just trying to build those positions, hey, I totally get it, but look for your plan if it's going wrong, and that's the big thing there. So Amazon looks all right. Tesla, I was very interested in because Tesla is one that could drop down lower. Look at the daily scale, able to cross yesterday. That's not a good thing. We didn't make a new low. This is actually bad for Tesla. It says momentum is to the downside. So what we want to see is there any chance of this reversing back around and that being a bad signal? The answer is yes. If the 30-minute can cross up and you can start to see some good positivity there, that would be a good sign for a 2-hour move to the upside as you have 30-minute divergence. Now, is the 2-hour in an area where we're really excited and this is going to go positive, positive, positive? No, you're going to have to see a good reaction from this, or else you could just see that move up to the 5 again and then see that rip sold one more time, right? Last time we got a good bounce, what did we have? Well, overall, it was a higher low down by the lows, and that curled up, and what happened? Positivity. This doesn't have that at this point. You're in an area that is deeper than the last time you saw a great move, so just be aware that this could need to take its time still, or it could go up and then crash right down. So you have to be understanding what your plan is for your trade and the plan to manage risk if things go wrong. But Tesla, I believe Tesla actually came into an important point. I wanted to double check. 215. Okay, yeah, so Tesla about like from here, like 10 points lower. Like literally you can go 10 points lower from where you're at the lows down here. So just be aware, this thing can get a little bit worse. But we're seeing some interesting signals. We'll put it that way. We're seeing some things that say, hey, this has a chance to reverse around, right? It's saying if I confirm, watch out for me, but I'm not confirmed yet. And the other thing is, even if I do confirm, have we done enough work? Have we gotten enough good news to really go to the upside dramatically? I don't think you've gotten that news just yet. Nvidia showing some strength. Let's go take a look over at Nvidia real quick. Nvidia's great. Okay, this is what I was saying about yesterday. The semiconductor market. A lot of them look like this. Ignore AMD. But a lot of them look like this, where they actually went positive. They even took back the 5 for a moment. They got to key levels. And then they pulled back. And that's overall what this is right now. This is a pull back. Because you are positive, you're in that middle area. So, managing risk, depending on your plan, I get it if you manage risk here. But you're also watching if you want to be, seeing Nvidia go up, you're also watching for that to confirm right back up into positive territory. If it's quick like that, you fill a gap, you curl back up, you could see some pretty good production here, right? We could see a pretty decent sized move, taking this slight measurement, if you will, up to maybe even like 117. So I don't know if it'll play out exactly like that. When you look at the 2 hour chart, you're going, this thing is still extremely deep. So this could all be some kind of bounce that fails, right? We could go up to these levels, fail again, sweep down these areas, and then end up making that actual 2 hour divergence. So if you're looking for something now, V shape would be what you need to really get positive. If you're going to behave more like a bear market, well, then you are most likely going to see that 2 hour dip back down pretty dramatically, right? So we'll see. But there's a lot of pent up bearishness still to this day right now. So the only thing is like AMD has a divergence. It just, at the end of the day, like a higher low is better than a divergence. The reason I like divergence is because it's cheaper, but the higher low is better. Why? Because you held price. You have made that trend start going to the upside. Okay. So really, when you look at it, a higher low is better than this right here, some kind of divergence for AMD. I just like cheaper prices. I like to see if those divergences produce big things, right? That's why mainly I take stocks that have a divergence in some way. I really, really like them because that's when surprising things can happen, right? People got overly bearish on it. It went down to lower, lower, lower levels, which makes things pretty cheap usually, but we have high IV right now. But a higher low would technically be a better sign for a stock, just so you are aware. No word yet, Bernie. We're hoping he comes in today. Hopefully Dubs comes by today. Market always bottoms on bad news. By the time we get good news, market will be quite a bit higher. That's kind of true. I mean, most of the time you do see that. Sometimes, during the bear market, I know the times were very interesting, but during the bear market, I remember a trade that I took and I was like, oh no, inflation came in still higher than expected, but it was lower than the previous. So it was more like people saw bad news, but read into it as good news because it was lower than the previous. And we saw one of those bear market rallies from it. And actually, I think we started to rally like the day before and then we squeezed after the news. So yeah, those type of things can happen. I'm more still at this point saying, hey, we can react either way. Let's pay attention to the signal that's in front of us for now and understand this is a rip around kind of market. So if I want to be quick with it, that would probably be the best idea. Yeah, prayers and good wishes to Dubs. Oh, Ari's screaming. She's been her attitude, man. She's hit that point where she's starting to get that little attitude. My wife goes, she's like me. I'm like, yeah, there it is. There it is. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna shoot her a text. Oh, she's doing a great job. She's doing a great job. I can hear her talking to her calmly. It's very, very good. She's really been hollering lately. Just when she doesn't want to do something, she's got her little attitude going. Your daily expected moves have absolutely crushed it several times in the last week. The other day, I traded your levels for the best day trade I've ever had. That's awesome, Wall Street Ponzi. Yeah, day traders are potentially liking this. I mean, technically, like, my hedge is almost a day trade, and that thing is extremely positive. So I sold half of it at the 95 line, though. So I didn't hold all of it. How you feel about the overall health of the bond market? Oh, I think this is disturbing. And this is what I talked to my brother about yesterday. No, 30-minute divergence. Maybe we get a 2 hour pullback soon. Because he had a bunch of people asking if they should lock and things like that because he's an MLO. So he hits me up about rates a lot. what I was overall saying to him was right down here with this big reaction, I go, they started off in the morning coming down, but you're potentially going to confirm daily divergence tomorrow. So you could see a big spike up in the next, like, say, 24 hours in the yield. But we do have an event going on today that's FOMC. So this could change a lot after FOMC, but we'll have to see. As of right now, the signals are suggesting, ooh, that is going to head up. But I just wanted to show off something here, okay? So if we see this, right, and let's do this with the bond market, that is, right? Oh, shoot, wrong one. Let me go back here, here, and here. Okay, so if we look at the daily chart on both of these, we can kind of look at something going on here. I want you to look at this point right here and look how they are both in tandem. Oh, look, the yield starts to bounce a little bit. And then shortly after that, what happens to the market? Market starts to bounce a little bit, right? We flag out. Then they both drop almost immediately. But guess what? The SPY actually turned first, then the yield. Then we come down. And then this thing rockets up. So weirdly enough, you're at a time where you're slightly, I would say, correlated. I think you're kind of correlated to this. And this is something I was watching with the dollar as well. Because if we go over here and we switch it to the dollar on the daily, you're going, okay, that dropped off. Then what? Oh, it started to bounce. Then we've dropped off again. So we're paying attention to the dollar as well. Very interesting for the dollar to kind of still be behaving and holding with the market. So right now you're at a time where it's like the dollar, the 10-year yield seem like they're almost correlated to the SPY, which is very interesting to me. So it could be a good sign. I don't want to overall just be like, oh, I'm going to follow that to a T and use that as my only data point. But I did just want to show that off. I think it's very interesting. You could be correlated, and really the yields actually turning around could be a good sign for the market, weirdly enough, because of the correlation, right? Markets do funky things. Am I overall happy with the health of the bond market? Hell no, I am not. I mean, I'm not overall happy with it. I mean, look at that thing. You have potential for daily divergence just confirmed to the downside, which means bonds are about to scream lower potentially, which actually is interesting. Like, these bonds are really sick, and I think this is what you're looking for if we get that blow off top and we're going to see a top really quickly or some kind of lower high. Does this come down and then just rocket up? Does this come down like this and that's seen as like somehow good for the market in some way, and we see positivity in market, and then it just rips? Because if you look at this weekly chart and you go, oh my goodness, look at that divergence, right? This means like, hey, we're about to go down for a bit. If that curls back up on the weekly scale, that is something I would watch for. That is interesting to me. Why would it correlate? I have no idea. It's just something I've been looking at for a couple of days. It's literally something I've been looking at for a couple of days. I was like, this yield is looking a little bit like it. And then I look at the dollar, and the dollar I'd been looking at for about a week or so, thinking that. Did I think it was important to mention just yet? Not necessarily, but since someone asked about yields, I was like, yeah, these are things that, the yield was more something I just started to look at a couple days ago. But I honestly, I would have to probably look into it a little deeper to get an answer for you. Maybe by Rumble, I can actually look into it and see why they're so correlated right now. They seem correlated. I don't want to say they are. They seem correlated. They could just be making similar moves. I think TLT is dumping, man. And if you're looking at the signals, it says TLT should continue to dump, but you have one of those things going on today that can shift that around. And apparently, right, did we get that solidified that the Fed did meet on Monday, right, behind closed doors? Because that's what people were saying. That's what I kind of saw printed out there. And so very interesting for that. With all of the delays in consumer purchasing going on right now, here is the question: how will companies that supply product beat earnings next quarter? Yes, earnings will be interesting, but I think this earnings might be safe if you really think about it, because earnings are coming up like now. So I'm more interested, Short Fridays, and thank you so much for the $20. I think people are going to maybe get bullish into the next earnings after this one, but we have to see how it produces, right? Earnings can be very back and forth, but I totally agree with you that you should be watching earnings for these companies with these tariffs. Now, what I would say is, what would the Short Fridays, maybe we can bounce back and forth. What do you think companies would do before tariffs hit? Do you think that they would spend less, buy less, purchase less, try to sell more, or sell less? Well, potentially they would try to even sell more, right? They would potentially try to sell more or take in more as well before the tariffs actually hit. That's how I see it. What do you think, Short Fridays? I want to hear what you think. This is theater. A deal will be worked out. I think so too, but just because I think that doesn't mean it has to be true. But I'm in that boat. I think that's a higher probability. I think it's a higher probability to be overblown, and that's actually proven in the that is proven with our expected moves right now. That the higher probable thing would be a deal is worked out. It's a very scary look though, so I'd be aware if that goes wrong, because you're kind of in that 1% moment still. Hey, that's great, Oakland Group. That's awesome. Let me read this one more time just to make sure I touched on it. Okay, here in Louisiana, the 2024 hurricane insurance rates just hit mortgage escrows and pushing notes up 338 per month on average is unsustainable. A lot of things are unsustainable, and that's why even if this seems like at the end of the day too, if we end up going to all-time high short Fridays and we see people saying, even MAGA people, all the MAGA people coming out and being like, Trump absolutely saved the market. What are you going to say now? Don't get cocky if this market goes up. There are still a lot of problems going on right now. We have big delinquencies. We have mortgages starting to default. We have a lot of things that are problematic that we would need to see that sustained over time. And that's just very difficult to do at these type of levels. So I think you're spot on to bring it up. And Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining this morning. And Short Fridays, thank you for the $20. That's kind of how I see it. I would more so see the next earnings, because this earnings could be blown out of proportion because people, consumers were convinced that, think of it this way, think of the mental side. If you're a consumer, right, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be horrible, and prices are going to go up in 3 months. Well, then what are you going to do right now? Well, if you think prices are going to be higher later, you might spend more right now, right? You might spend more now because you think prices are going to be bigger later. So actually, this could have boosted consumer spending for a little bit with the narrative going on. So that's how I'm trying to read into it in some way. Now, I won't be proven right in any of that until we actually see data. That's the big problem. It's a new day, Ahmad. Let's go. Only stocks I see that can keep flying are Amazon, Google, Meta, Tesla. That's all I see. It seems like, yeah, some big boys. I don't know, man. IWM is doing some interesting things down here. I will say that IWM is hitting a very interesting point where you can see a decent reaction. And a lot of the stocks within the IWM, you're not seeing the stocks in like the Qs, the tech stocks, you're not seeing them hold good signals. SoFi is, right? That's kind of wild to me. A stock like SoFi is. DJT is. It's holding it. It doesn't mean it has to produce yet. It hasn't confirmed up, but I just think it's interesting that the selling here, yeah, it's dramatic, but it was dramatic for a longer period of time to where IWM or smaller stocks could potentially actually be saying, are we almost finished? Now, you would like to see that in the IWM actual like indice, but we don't see that at this moment. Here in New Orleans, I have never been as busy in 23 years as I have been since Trump took office. Banks are loaning everyone construction loans, so no complaints here. Exactly. Yeah. So, but do you see what I'm saying, Short Fridays, about the spending going on there? Boom, 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 boom. Is that going to pump numbers or dump numbers? Right? Is that going to pump all the lumber, or is that going to dump the lumber? Is that going to pump those businesses' revenues, or is that going to dump their revenues? Right? Or is it going to show future projection? What's going to go on there? Because I think a lot of them, it's going to prove to show some of that. Now, I think that could lead to a higher inflation reading this time around, so we'll see. But all right, we're opening up. I just wanted to give that little spiel on some of the smaller stocks. I think they're interesting. We're just looking at a 30-minute, and if that confirms up, all we should technically expect is some upside for a 2-hour chart. If a 30-minute curls up, all we should expect is some kind of 2-hour move. Maybe that gets aggressive, maybe not, right? We could fail here, we could fail here. We do not have good signals down here at this moment. You do see it on the RSI, but that's that 30-minute divergence. You can always make it more complex, and we'll see. The reason I'm slightly just not leaning towards it being more complex is all these buys that kept coming in on all of our charts, but we'll see. I just want to be open to both. As of right now, the 30-minute hasn't even curled up, but we did not get some kind of massive gap or anything like that. Qs are actually almost positive. They were positive for a second. Look at Amazon. Amazon trying to confirm up the divergence. This is divergence, just so you are aware. Tesla, this is divergence. Nvidia, this is not. This is a higher low, which can be an even better sign, right? We'll see. Meta coming down to lower levels, still might need to get to a price point of, I think you want to see this touch 500. I would say I want this to go touch like 500, maybe even close at that type of level on a 30-minute bar. That would be nice to give us a little hint. Microsoft, higher low, potential, right? Just barely. It's pretty much divergence for Microsoft on the 30-minute. Google has divergence on the 30-minute. I guess we can look at the memers. AMC and GME are holding up much better. 30-minute curls up, that goes positive. Right now, though, you're at risk of turning that 2-hour down. Okay, there's a way up, there's a way down. GME looks good. Now, I'm glad we were paying attention to this. Look at this. Remember, we were paying attention to it? We said, weirdly enough, the market's kind of following GME. Whatever GME does, the market does the next day. So we see this coming down right as this started to happen. GME actually happened first, and we looked at it, and I said, yep, there's a bunch of weakness here. We see that from the RSI, and then we see that pullback, but that's exactly what it should be. It should be a pullback is the most likely scenario to the 5. Can this confirm back to the upside? That'd be a good thing. SoFi was one I really, really like down here. I really like SoFi, though. I think that could be a great sign. We didn't go dip lower to go like make divergence points really, but just look at the higher low you're getting right by that center line. So if this can confirm up and take back that 5, it overall just means a 2-hour move to the upside can come, right? We want to understand the positioning of the MACD. If it friggin' booms and V-shapes and goes like this, okay, there's probably going to be a pullback right around this level of about 1240. Okay, so there's a lot of stocks that even though it seems really bad, it seems like you're about to get maybe a little bit more relief soon, right? If these things confirm and they do not unconfirm, meaning I don't have to manage my trade in any way, these things would look like, hey, I'm going to try to make a bigger upward move. I think we should bounce, but last bounce I thought would go higher. Well, that's just, how do you put that? It's just those signals end up failing, right? And the daily complexity never held up, right? If we look at the daily chart, we were looking for the daily complexity down by this. What happened? You just straight up gapped out of it, right? These gaps down, closing at the lows, it's just really risky. Like that would have to just spin back around. This was the first crossover. So this is very hard to happen when you have daily momentum just completely wiping you out. We would like to see daily momentum shift back up, but would that be the best sign in the world? It would be a good sign, but you need to see some good positivity. You need to get this market back to 576. You need to get this market back above 550. If you get it back above 550, you have the chance for consolidation at these type of levels. If you start to lose 550 again, you have the chance for another turn down. So that's a breakdown area. That's why I'm pointing it out, right around that 550. Apple is moving. Let's go check on Apple. Apple had a signal as well, 30-minute divergence. Where is Apple, by the way? Do you guys know where Apple is, Patreon members? Where is Apple? Where was this? Where was this? This is a weekly expected move for Apple. You have a divergence on the 30-minute at the weekly expected move. This means Apple could end up all the way at 200 by Friday. Apple could go fill this gap by Friday. If this signal proves and holds the whole way through, shoots you positive, maybe you test that this area right here again, right? You come up, you test that area, then you get up to here, bam. And then you would look for those reversal signals in case you're going to get the move down, right? If this is going to behave like a bear market, 30 minutes will be really nice. But you see how the 2-hour is extremely deep. So if you do this, and then you fall, you can come all the way back down. But if you can really produce positivity, hold, really produce positivity, use it as support, I think that would be great to use 197.47 as support. But this hasn't even confirmed yet. So we got to see if things confirm. It's not looking too drastic right now, but we'll see what happens. What's the Fed gonna do today? I think that'll be a big deal. What the heck? What was that? What was that meeting about? What's up, not having? Loving the 2020 lows. VIX is ticking down, and VIX 2-hour signal. Okay, if you're ever looking at the VIX, the 30-minute here, divergence. What does that do? It curls down 2 hours. What's the 2-hour saying? 2 hours saying double top. Remember, the measurement is from this bar here, right? And you can even take like a peek of this and just see, okay, that peaked actually in here. But you could take the highest point and you can draw that across, and you'll actually see a higher point for the green, which is good. That means that this could be a double top right now. And then you look in the shorter time frame and you go, oh, there's a 30-minute divergence. How close to the center line are we? Well, we're pretty damn close, right? This might be a failed move right now. We have to see if that confirms down and goes negative. We need that to lose the 5. You need that to lose the 5. You need that to get below this low, which the SPY is showing the same thing in the opposite direction, a 30-minute divergence. Now, this looks a little different from the VIX, but it's still there, is what I would overall say. It's not perfect as in this case. We'll see how it shapes up. Oh, okay, it's from the last meeting. Okay, so we might not hear from this one. These the FOMC minutes last meeting doesn't mean it won't move markets. Well, it's just I wonder if they made a change because of Monday, but I actually think JP Morgan threw up. I think JP Morgan threw up, and you have a chance here for something good. JP Morgan is a huge risk to reward play, but now you actually see some positivity, right? You see that positivity, you curled down. If you can take that back to the upside, that would be interesting making a mark. Okay? I think JP Morgan would be very interesting to me. Gold is seeing positivity overall, but I really like that so far. And then oil is really, really down there, man. And oil usually moves with the dollar and the 10-year yield. So if the dollar and the 10-year yield are going to go to the upside, then that would say oil actually might find a footing here. And I think that would be very interesting. I'm going to look at this, but I want to make sure to look at this before I shout it out. But JP Morgan looks interesting. Here you go. Look at this. 2-hour divergence for oil. 2-hour divergence for oil. What does that mean? That means a 4-hour move can come. A 4-hour divergence for oil. Okay, what does that mean? That means that, yes, this is very far away from the center line. Be aware if that needs to pull down again. It's very far away. But that also means there is a chance that this daily is going to curl up and you're going to get some relief here for a bit of time. If that's a big reaction, 71.47. Look at that move that can come. Now, do I think that's just going to, pull back on that slingshot and just go wham? Maybe, maybe not. It really depends. Just depends on the news, depends on how this thing moves. If I go like this and I see a 2-hour divergence here, yeah, we're probably dipping down again. So if you can really, it's kind of like this. Can I take back this low, 65.85? Can I take that back, hold it, and then can I get to the level in order to make structure? So you're looking at some stuff from oil. You're looking at this. You're looking at that. Wanted to go look maybe at something like Oxy. Oxy dropping down, 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 down. From an investment perspective, I believe Warren Buffett didn't sell all his Oxy, right? You're seeing it break down. Is this testing some breakout areas? Yes. Does it look risky? Yes. But if I'm going, hey, I was thinking about buying Oxy up here at $75 and now it's $35, I might be paying, I might have some decisions to make on the investment side there. So there's just a few. JP Morgan on the 30-minute looks more like a potential option play. I think Oxy and things like that, oil, I usually would like to just buy and kind of hold that for a certain period of time, depending on the signals. But it's all going to be up to you at the end of the day. That's just what I would look into. Stuff like that would be very nice. I think it was it? I know this is tech, but this was holding up better. Was it IonQ? It's one of these I was looking at last week. Yeah, I think it was IonQ. IonQ, similar look. The 2157, very interesting to me. Able to go positive. What can happen from this? Well, we look at a 2-hour chart and we go, oh, wow, that's interesting. The 2-hour turns up. That might be good too. Hey, what would happen after that? Well, the daily's already crossed up, so you're looking for daily positivity. You've kind of put in a floor here. Yeah, you're reaching down, But overall, it's just a very, very volatile flagging. And we'll see if this can break to the upside. So there are options out there that aren't necessarily just like major QQQ, the Mag 7. Like, I think those are showing opportunity in some way for potential option plays. But there are other things out there. I think JP Morgan looks all right. I think Oxy has the decision of, hey, do I want to invest at these levels? It just depends on what you see as good for what you're trying to do right now. You just hit back with some response tariffs. The thing is, I need to find a better little news source because these things seem so biased. It's so negative, so negative. Every financial one that I look at is just negative, negative, negative. I need to find a more unbiased one that just like tells you the info, doesn't have some kind of title on it, just tells you what happened. Likely tariff deals with US. I don't see anything about it just yet. The Chinese is trending. I know, I hate having to go to Twitter to do it, but no, there's not going to be anything helpful there. Get my other charts up real quick. I'm going to watch Amazon for the time being. I think Amazon was our big hint going in today because Amazon is holding a lot of things. Amazon has the 30-minute divergence. Amazon on the 2-hour, you do have this small thing going on. I don't want to read into that too much, but the daily scale is what I'm interested for Amazon because you are still, to this point, still holding that divergence point. To this point, you are not holding it on the MACD. So today's going to be a big day for Amazon. Will it go up? We'll see, but there is a 30-minute divergence suggesting that positivity can come. Yeah, that's true, Willow. I want to day trade so bad now that I'm above 25K, but no, I must resist. I get that sentiment. All right, volatility actually confirming down as of now. We'll see how that goes, right? 2-hour, if that can confirm down in an hour and a half, I'd feel better about it. But 30-minute here for the SPY suggesting, pretty much this signal is suggesting this. I just want to be clear here. This signal is suggesting we can see more than that. This is suggesting we could see this, we could see this. And then we have to potentially watch out, right? If this is going to behave like a bear market, then this would fall. And then we would curl up into positive territory maybe again after a 2-hour divergence. Just depends. I think people have been pent up in this area for so long that I'm not necessarily leaning towards this behaving that way. But I know that anything is possible and I need to be watching that. I don't think it would go today. I would say, it would, a 30-minute signal usually says in the next 3 to 4 trading sessions. I would say 2 to 4 trading sessions, we can hit that line. Fear index at 3. I got to see it for myself. I like seeing it. I like seeing how low it gets. It's fun. Fear and greed right now, as of right now, showing a 3. You are correct. So see, the thing is, we've been in extreme fear for a month, a whole month, right? Maybe more than that, right? But for a whole month, we're at 17. Now you're at 3. So you've been in extreme fear long enough that that's kind of why I'm like, this isn't what I'm leaning towards, but I'm aware of it, right? I'm aware that this can happen, but I need to see if the SPY actually confirms the signal first, right? We need to see confirmations or else we could have more work to be done. There is still a lot of room here to make a divergence. There's still a lot of room here to drop lower, lower, lower. There's a lot of room on the RSI as well. And look at that. We go right up to the 95% line and reject. This market's going to continue to be pretty crazy. Well, remember, at the end of the day, if you're going up, it's because momentum might shift to the upside. It's because people are buying, right? The big buys might be coming in. At the end of the day, news can be whatever news it wants to be. If people decide to buy because of whatever news, good or bad, and that produces good momentum to the upside, then more upside can come. And then if it's bad and you think it's some kind of trap, well, then you got to manage your money with that in mind, right? Why would it go up with that? Maybe because it's finally over, right? Maybe it's priced in at this point, maybe that type of thing is priced in. I don't think it would be fully priced in yet if it was really bad. How's the zoo? I'm going tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow. Yeah, I just and Boxman, thanks so much for subscribing. Thug Live. Yeah, I'm actually going tomorrow after the morning stream. But last night I just wanted to help. She's gotten to that phase. The baby girl's gotten to that phase where she can start to just say no. And now if we try to make her brush her teeth or take a bath or something, she's like, no, I want to play. And it turns into, now I want to play kind of attitude. And it's not fun. Did we get that? Today's Wednesday, right? Look at this. We'll keep an eye on that later. Rejection. Market's being like cute girl at a bar right now, rejecting us. VVIX up 8%. Means big volatility swings. Yeah, it's true, Wall Street Ponzi. I mean, my wife had to, we both talked last night. We're like, we need to practice a little bit. We just have to be more patient. We don't lose our cool very often, but once we do, we immediately are like, all right, let's just try to be more patient. She's just figuring everything out. She's a new human. It's hard. You think trading stocks is hard? Imagine being a new human. That sounds tough. And pick your son-in-laws. Bernie, that's clutch. That's actually really funny. Yeah, we're pretty quick to be like, all right, been there, done that, wasn't hard. Don't even remember it, Willow. God, it was so easy, I don't even remember it. Shen, I don't know what you're talking about, but I like the name Shen. I think that's dope. You sound like a League of Legends character, my dude. Or girl. I don't know what Shen is. The 5-minute alpha rejected perfectly at the 1.618. Watch for 174 for the retest. Any day for a 5% up day. It does look like good structure, doesn't it, Ta? Like things don't look too bad. Guy, what up, Shin? I like that name. Just shit my diaper, make someone else clean it, and do what I want. Great time being a new human. Kind of facts. Yeah, when you put it that way, it's just like, damn. Never mind, I'm totally wrong. It's actually really easy. Yeah, you might have some diaper rash if you're in recession and your parents leave you in that poopy diaper a little longer, but we look at IWM, yeah, of course. I'd just be staring at a 30-minute chart, man. I'd be staring at this 30-minute and just going, hey, if that confirms, this can go to 195.25 pretty quick, right? Look at where that weekly expected move is and where we would consolidate if we saw an upward move, or where we would see the next big drop. It would potentially be maybe towards the end of the week, and we get to 195.44. But all this has to confirm first, right? Everything is pointing down still right now. DIA coming down into lows. Overall, you would mostly consider this a higher low, but you could potentially like have an argument for divergence, when these things happen. Still a good sign. It's not losing these wicks down in here. It's a very good thing. Apple about to try to confirm on the price action in the RSI on this 30-minute. Apple looked like garbage. Like garbage. But TLT's breaking out. Right as it gets the signal of like, hey, we're gonna go down, and then it just goes, maybe not, right? Maybe we're done with the down because it was so aggressive. Right? Maybe because it was so aggressive, it's done. That would be kind of wild because it was very aggressive. We'll find out. The biggest thing for me is volatility. And do we confirm anything here to really head to the upside? Agreement with Vietnam, Japan, and possibly UK. Agreements? Agreements. Oh, awesome. Well, you can say, bull trap, but, this is still very low, right? Bull traps are taking place here, higher levels. This was very quick, so, if you're a shorter term trader, I get that. If you're day trading or something. We'll watch for that sentiment change if it even comes. When's that announcement, by the way? Dave, do you know when they're announcing that? I'm going to pull up the stream again here. Pull here. Whew, had to sneeze. It's allergy season, baby. Ooh. Thank you to the 60 people who came in and liked the stream, guys. Really appreciate it when you guys come in and like the stream. Thank you guys for doing so. Let's close out of this real quick. Bless you. Why, thank you. This is a great time to buy. Oh my God, Trump, dude. Come on, man. What the frick, Trump? Did not. There's no way. There's no way he did. Yeah, I can't see it. Where'd he post it, Dave? Hey, that's all right, Jonna. Technically, no one knows with 100% certainty. We finna rocket if he said that. Imagine Trump's like, I just bought 100 million of your favorite stock. QQQ update and Dubs, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it. It was bad taste. Apologies. Okay, good, Dubs. Weird, I take it seriously because I've literally been there. I've been all the way to the brink, holding things that I'm not supposed to be holding to myself. So I do take it seriously, but next time just make sure you tell us you're kidding or something. Okay, we hope you're doing good either way, though, right? We still hope everyone's doing good either way. And if you guys ever do have those type of things, this is what the community's for. It's to have a group to talk about it with. Everyone's experienced big losses before and things like that, but I'm glad to see you here this morning. Okay, Dubs? But someone wanted just the Qs. The Qs are just pretty simple. It's a similar scenario. You're looking for the 30-minute to confirm up. That's the good part about today now. You have good 30-minute signals almost across the board. Newsbot, U.S. President post, this is a great time to buy DJT. Oh, no. Oh, no. Remember DJT? Remember DJT? We just mentioned it this morning, too. Actually has daily divergence. Pretty friggin' interesting, if you ask me. 30 minutes there to give you the trigger. Seeing it from the RSI and the price action. We'll see if that can continue, but yeah, Qs wise, you're looking at the same thing pretty much a lot across the board, which is nice. A lot of 30-minute charts are showing either a higher low or a divergence, which is very, very nice. DJT is referring to his initials. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. No, he's trying to pump and dump us, Dave. Let's pump DJT. Make sure to exit. Yeah. Everyone buy at the same exact time. You're shorting the Qs at a time where you actually have a reversal signal, just so you're aware, and you just tapped into a buy zone again. So the more likely thing here is relief rally, but the MACD is still turned down. We don't have full confirmation of that yet. Just so you're aware, Kevin. Yeah, that's the thing, Richard. What if it kind of is lackluster? Oh man, your IV is going to be crushed. Yeah. It doesn't mean you can't be right, Kevin. It's just if this were to confirm, it would kind of contradict those type of things. But we don't know how you're positioned. We don't know if you're positioning. We don't know if you're shorting just for the day, those type of things. You can look at really short time frames for that. So we're more talking about I would say, medium term, if not like 3-day to 2-week term. Yeah, so this is technically what a W would look like, right? But that would be a W on the 30-minute. But I think dubs, what we're also acknowledging here is this should just be a 2-hour move. So a W shape here would be on the 2-hour potentially, right? All this could be like one move down, then you curl up, then you see that fall, then you actually curl up again. So you do have the 2-hour complexity that's available. You have a 30-minute W right now trying to confirm up. Neurotic. I don't know what you're talking about, Finn. What an economy, what a great economy, and frankly, it's the best economy, and we're gonna make it better. I said, isn't this a great economy, the best economy? And I said, we'll make it better. It sounds like a chorus to a song, Willow. The market? Yeah. Okay, now it makes sense. I mean, I'm gonna go look at the put calls, by the way. Refresh and look for today, what, the 9th? Looks like to the downside, 490. A lot, actually, calls actually creeping in a little bit more today. Want to see if anything changed for Friday. Still 490, so 490 is still very important for the SPY. And 490 is what you failed to close below yesterday. And today, or going into Friday, you have a lot of bearishness, right? A lot. And you only have these little hiccups for bulls, right? 530. But 530 is a good level. But 490 to the downside is the wall that I would be paying attention to, the put wall. Especially if I'm day trading, I'd be pulling up those levels. You probably need to see order flow too. That's how it is. Trust me, sometimes, I voted for the guy. I don't care. I voted for the guy. I still don't like watching him speak very often. I really don't. I really don't like watching it. You're the reason I trade with confidence. That's awesome, NBA. And have a plan for if it goes wrong, right? 99%. Hey, yeah, I'm bullish. What if I'm wrong? Just that little skeptical guy. Just this guy. Okay, this is confirming, but what could it do up here, right? If this confirms, I'm going to be a little skeptical here. What do I want to do with my money here? How am I going to manage my money here? And that's where you got to make decisions. If this even comes, right? This right now you're going, this hasn't confirmed yet. This market's been pretty bad. Do I want to take something early? I'm outside of the 95% zone. Maybe I want to see this next bar, see if we can curl up above that 9, this little red line, see if we can maybe get above that 5. Then I can maybe take this up to 530 because I know that I just looked at some stuff and it goes, hey, 530 is the level to potentially watch for the upside right now for not today, but for Friday. I love watching Trump. Dude, I don't. I really don't. I really don't. I would rather watch JD Vance talk or something. I'd rather watch like AOC talk because at least it's fun. You never know what you're gonna get over there. But Overall, these markets look like a lot of things are shaping up. So let's just click through all of them. 30-minute divergence. Okay. Qs, 30-minute divergence. Okay. IWM, 30-minute divergence. Okay. These have not confirmed. We're just acknowledging that they're forming. DIA, potentially a 30-minute divergence, if not a higher low. DLT, shit in the bed, but it shat the bed very, very quickly. So we'll see what happens with that. And that is correlated in some way with the market right now, which is interesting. Apple, 30-minute divergence. Tesla, 30-minute divergence. Amazon, 30-minute divergence. All right, let's keep going. Nvidia, higher low, meaning Nvidia was able to hold up better. That's a good thing. AMD, a divergence on the 30-minute. These things are starting to shape up to something here. Meta, higher low, a little bit better than other ones, right? Holding up a little bit better, right at that monthly expected move. Very nice. Microsoft down at the lows. Overall, potentially a higher low, kind of that in-between scenario where it's like it could be considered divergence, but most likely just higher low. Google, we take this, we look across, and we would go, I'm pretty confident to call that one a divergence, right? If that could confirm, that'd be good. AMC, higher low. GME, higher low. DJT, higher low. Yeah, higher low. SoFi, overall, higher low, right? Palantir, let's take a look at that one. Okay, higher low, holding up better. Gold, trying to reverse back around right now. Very interesting for gold to do so. AVGO, trying to hold up better. AVGO is one that I like, right? That's one that I really like. I want that thing to go up. Let's look at something else. JP Morgan, higher low. Okay, so now we see in a few different areas that we do see that things are holding up really well or have some kind of reversal signal at the lows. So now we can really start to pay attention and say, if these things confirm, what the hell is going to happen? RGTI, we did take a peek at this, like RGTI, IonQ and those, mainly looking like higher lows again, right? At least for the time being. Now, these have been, I think, a little bit more choppy than others, right? A little choppy in here. But from this perspective, you're going, hey, still a good move can come, right? If that 30-minute confirms up, we can maybe take out this high and go make a new one. And we watch out for reversal signals. And then on top of everything that we just went over, all those divergences, are we seeing the opposite signal from VIX? Yes, you are seeing an opposite signal for VIX. You're seeing it on the 30-minute and you're seeing it on the 2-hour. So there's a lot of things pointing to, hey, there's some reversal signals and VIX is confirming, the SPY could confirm next, and then we could end up seeing an upside move, maybe to 530, maybe to 540. Get to that weekly expected move. But for the day, is that very, very probable? No. For the day, you would say this is what's probable, unless some news comes out that takes people off guard, that's better than expected or worse than expected, right? Potentially Embrew, depending on your position sizing of that first one. Now a little bit of time maybe decay happened, right? And then maybe you're down at those lower levels on some of the ones you were looking at. Maybe you're just seeing pullbacks and you're going, okay, this is when I wanted what I wanted to see. I want to see if this can hold up, and then maybe I scale in again. So yeah, those decisions are potential here, but we need confirmations. We squeeze here. The opportunity for a short is going to be so juicy. There's going to be big targets down below to just smack up and down. Yeah, I more so just want to see if we take back 550 and we can remain above that. I like it. The ultimate goal is to get to 576. If you can get to 576, then that pullback starts to look more like a pullback and not some kind of massive throw up kind of moment. But I think you are correct to bring up W-shaped everything. Right now you have a W potentially here forming and maybe going to confirm soon on the 30-minute, but you can see that on a 2-hour. And then at the end of all of it, we can see it on a daily, right? This can take a lot of time. You have to see some great positivity to get out of whatever the hell we're going through right now. We'll see. Amazon, as of right now, trying to take back the monthly expected move. We'll see how that prints. We just have to see how things behave over the next a little bit of time. I wonder when we're going to get some news. So I just want to go to here. I want to see if anything is... Oh, God, fucking these millionaire YouTubers. Trump's trade rep testifies on trade policy. I'm gonna listen
in
in.
annual tariff revenue
Oh god, the
paid by
sound quality is
importers
awful,
from
guys.
China and increased fairness for American producers. Other agreements, like USMCA, opened markets for American-made products and ensured fairer treatment for our workers and businesses. An America First trade policy is needed now more than ever. America ran trillion-dollar goods trade deficits all 4 years.
And let me know in the chat
under
if you guys would
Biden.
like to listen to this
Previously,
in the background.
America
If
has
it's
never
really annoying a bunch
run
of people, we'll
even
turn it off.
one year. We ran a $32 billion agriculture trade deficit last year. Under President Trump's first administration, we had an average annual agriculture trade surplus of $5 billion. The Biden administration failed to counter China's moves to reorder the global economy around Beijing. Failure to assess whether China was adhering to the Phase 1 agreement meant the agreement was never truly enforced. The Trump administration is reviewing potential violations of the agreement, as well as exploring Section 232 and 301 investigations to further address unfair trade barriers ripe for enforcement actions. President Trump has made good on his promise to tackle China's abuse of our trade laws and ended its access to the de minimis privilege. The administration's actions mirrored committee legislation
I get that,
passed
Rajiv.
last year to crack down on the instance
Market
of
doesn't like it.
China's
Stop
trade
saying
abuse.
these things, guy.
And President Trump
We were about to
has
confirm
now
a
set
signal.
in motion a process to end the de minimis privilege.
All right, let me. I'm gonna turn it on when I think they're talking about something interesting. Because this is just shit. This is political shit talk, and I don't care about political shit talk personally. Talk about the tariffs, talk about the business side of tariffs, talk about the actual debt, and I'll listen. If you know, right when he starts saying in the Biden administration, once anyone says that, I turn off the TV. In the Trump administration, I turn it off. In the Biden administration, I turn it off. I don't care. I'm like, I mean, that was a good thing right there. Yes, Brew. It is. But sometimes it's funny. Like um like when Trump and Biden had their little debate, that was so fun. I'm not gonna lie, I cracked a few beers with the wife and we watched it and we were laughing hysterically at both of them. I'm gonna keep my eye on some other things over here just to see if we get confirmations anywhere. Oof, rejected. DJT is the only one that I see confirming things. Wait, let me see if another one. Yeah, DJT. DJT is the only one that I see. Let me go look a little more. Yeah, it's literally, from the ones I like to watch, DJT is the only one. Yeah, I'm gonna chug some water. I'm gonna go make coffee real quick. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna leave you guys with that sound, just so you don't have to, unless you, I mean, I'll just leave you with it. No, they're still talking politics. I'm not gonna do it to you guys. I'm not gonna make your ears bleed. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna make coffee real quick. All right, coffee is a brewing. Whoa, DJT. What the hell? What's the SPY ended up doing? Nah. I'm down a mod. Except I think it would probably be like the most slappy, weak fight I've ever seen. It'd be entertaining. Oh my god. I can't listen to it, dude. I can't. Can we? Can't do it. It's just all political crap. It'd be like, eh, eh. Like I'd imagine, eh. Like my wife could kick the both their ass, I think. It's true, Rajiv. It's what you hope for. Because sometimes even when you're making money and it's boring, you're like, ah, it's kind of boring, but at least I'm making money. I like crazy markets. I think they're a lot of fun. Marco, I like me some white noise. Wow, why's it got to be white? Racist. All right, I'm gonna click through again on my other charts just to keep an eye on stuff. DJT needs to hold that for 17 minutes. Is nothing. IWM shifting to the downside. DIA shifting down. TLT remaining lower. Apple. Oh, Apple. Okay. Apple trying to do it. Apple trying to do it right now on every single piece, right? RSI, MACD, price action, but not a lot of positivity across the board, right? So going to keep clicking through. Tesla got close, right? A lot of things were confirmed and unconfirmed. By waiting to the last like 10 to 20% of the bar is a good thing usually. AMD, weirdly enough, is holding above the 9. You're getting it on the RSI. That is very close. That's a little push higher from saying, yeah, I'm on the MACD too. We're shifting this momentum. Interesting. Advanced Money Destroyer actually showing something decent. Microsoft, a strong 30-minute bar for Microsoft to start off. See if that can continue. Advanced Money Developer this time. Let's see, Google, not too much there. AMC no, GME no, DJT kind of getting some wicks at the top there. SoFi wicking off of the 5-day as of right now. Palantir, starting to kind of vomit there after the good push, but still up 2.6%. Very, very nice. AVGO giving it up as well. And JP Morgan giving it up. Trying to do it, gave it up. Oh, VIX 9-day says watch the next 30 minutes. VIX 9-day says watch until 10. Well, I guess watch the next hour is what VIX is saying. PCC still at elevated levels. That's probably a good way to do it, Ahmad. Really understand that time's something you don't get back. So sitting and spending your time just staring at markets all day. That's why I'm going to the zoo tomorrow. I've been working my tail off. I've been really trying to, like, I worked for 4 to 5 hours just on that Saturday video alone. I've been looking at markets seriously, like hours and hours and hours a day for like a month now, and I'm just like, man, I need to go see some animals. I need to go hang with the girls. No, PCC elevated just means more puts than calls, right? So PCC being up here still just says, hey, there's more puts than calls. So if we see that shift down, that would mean that a decent amount of calls are starting to come in. We were waiting. This is one thing we pointed out for like weeks, and we said it's very fishy. Now it's not so fishy. Now it's like, okay, now we can maybe read into it. Yeah, more bearish bets. I'll take a nice family picture for you guys, okay? Because it's literally me and all girls. It's me, the wife, the daughter, the sister-in-law, the mother-in-law. And if you're really nice to your mother-in-law, apparently she buys you clothes. I didn't know that. She just buys me really nice clothes, like once a month. I'm like, sick. Oh yeah, maybe we'll take it with the lemurs. We're gonna feed some and pet some lemurs. Say dead cat bounce yesterday, but can it be considered a bounce if it closes low like that? No. If people are saying dead cat bounce, it's just dead cat bounce is such a weird thing to say most of the time because weirdly enough, dead cat bounce should show up like this. Like this should be a dead cat bounce. But during a bear market, let's just take a little blip here. During a bear market, a dead cat bounce is more of a bounce, usually. Like this is a dead cat bounce, right? We see a dramatic move down, bounce. Okay. Then we see the next dramatic move down. All right, another dead cat. Then we see the next one, another dead cat. Then we see the next one. We make those reversals. People all think it's going to be a dead cat, and then it goes up. And that's when people make the decision to short because it keeps working every single time. And then they think that it can never not work, and then it doesn't work. So you exceed that, you go higher. This could still be considered a dead cat bounce, right? That's more how it is. It's more just like extremely oversold readings, some kind of move to the upside, but usually you see it a little more aggressively in, say, bear market time. So this could be considered your dead cat bounce because this was like a 6% move, I think. It was like, what, 6%? So it's a pretty good move, right? 5%? That's not bad. So this is what I would say is more of a dead cat bounce in my, how I like to think about them. But short time traders, they'll be like, this is a dead cat bounce. This is a dead cat bounce. They'll say, this right here is, this right here is, this right here is, over and over and over again. When really I just pay attention to, do we actually see a decent size one, is how I would put it. Sounds like the start of a risky movie. Shut up, Willow. Meow. Oh, you guys are crazy, but that's my type of humor though. So I'd be killing my options. Like I said, the way that the market maker screws this is somehow, or the way that just you get screwed is the price somehow gets pinned here, and IV just goes down and down and down and down. Doesn't seem to be hurting me as of yet. Yeah, as of now. But I'm thankful for that. It's a real cat sound. Wait, I can do a meow. Let me do my meow. Something like that. Oh no, we're meowing on stream. Now I'm some Twitch gaming girl stream. God dang it. Yeah, I can meow. I can cry like a baby, but I have to do it very loudly. Is Roaring Kitty in the stream now? Maybe. Roaring Kitty, if you're here, blink twice. Did he blink? VIX 9-day. I do want to show you guys this. Okay, look at this. This is what I'm staring at on my other screen. Look at this. This says pay attention for the next like 2 bars. Pay close attention. This is like weird, but when these type of shapes form, you want to really be looking for what news drops happen in the next hour. If a news drop happens in the next hour, it would say momentum is dying out here. Uh-oh. You're almost at levels you could consider this as well a lower high, or potentially even it's close enough you could say, hey, maybe that's a double top, right? Maybe that's divergence. So I'm going to see if this crosses down. You need about an hour or more of readings here. Look at that. If it doesn't cross down, uh-oh, more upside, right? It's still turned up right now. We got to wait for those things to actually confirm. Hello, my kittens. Who says that? Someone says that. I've heard that phrasing before. I just don't know where. I think that's like a Valorant thing, like some gaming thing. Yes, I'm a gaming nerd. I do not get to game ever anymore. There's something interesting about the VIX, namely, once it stays above 27.5 for 11 or more during the years, stats suggest a red end of the year. Okay, that's going to be big. So we still need to watch for lower highs then. I mean, I guess I could do a count real quick. When did we go above? What's the price point? What's the reading? 27.5? Okay, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 11's a big number, though. 11's a really big number. You're at, today would be 5. 11's a really big number. So that kind of means if you want this thing to potentially, I guess that you would say, if then you want this to get to all-time highs, you want to see this not see another lower high, right? Because if this just curls down to like 30 and then curls back up, and you see that 2-hour complexity, you're starting to get the days towards that 11 stat. So it is a statistic at the end of the day. Statistics can get it wrong. Stats, those probably aren't 100%, but it does show potential. I bet it's like very high. For FX Evolution to be talking about it, I would say it's probably like, how many readings did he show you? Because it's for him to show it off and talk about it seriously, it's probably 8 out of 10, at least. Do you consider double top for the wicks? I take them into consideration, but technically the measurement is the closing of the bar. Technically the measurement isn't here to here. Technically it would be like here to across to here, right? But you would say the lowest point here was potentially this bar right here. So right here is what you want. You look for that low point on your MACD. It's pretty even with this, actually. So either way, right in here is where you'd start your drawing, and then you would go, okay, where are we at now? Okay, I can see that this is slightly higher. But then what I read into is, if I see this very tight with wicks below it, I can say, oh, I can consider that divergence or at least a double bottom in some way if that confirms, right? It doesn't have to be like perfect. It doesn't always have to be spot on and perfect. It's not going to be perfect all of the time. That's just not going to happen. But it's more so just like, am I reading into it with the right mentality of, even if this is a higher low, even if this is a divergence, either way, it's the same thing right now. But yeah, the measurement is technically from the closing bars. And how you know that is just by clicking on your MACD. If your settings are different than mine, then it's going to be different, right? I have the source as the close, right? The close. Okay, RSI, what do I have the source as here? Source, close, close. That's all you have to look for, and then that's how you'll read into it. So pretty much your MACD is not really reading that wick. The MACD here isn't really reading that wick. It's reading here, right here. But that's getting very, that's getting very tedious with it. Do you see some kind of, at the end of the day, if you treat it really simply, it's like, I see a 30-minute divergence outside of a 95% zone. Okay, I'm going to buy this, and then 95% of the time I'll be right. Then we're at least going to close above here, and there's a 68% chance that I do this. And then that's a great trade right there. That's all you need. That's a great trade, right? Here, we're out of the 95. I don't see any signals for it, but we're out of the 95. We'll probably come back into it. Boom, great trade. Even this little move right here is a great trade. I don't want to take the wick, but I would be like, okay, if I made a decision at some point, 4% in an hour and a half, it's good, right? But I'm not trying to catch that. I'm trying to be like, hey, if we get a squeeze because of the signals we see, if this is overreactive, that's what I want to watch for. Morning, Nat. Willow's ready for you. I love that you guys are like besties over on Rumble. I think that's awesome. If anyone wants to join us later on Rumble, just know that that is down in the description. Go make an account real quick and come join us for the end of the day live stream. The power hour. The power hour. Apple is trying to confirm it. Look at other ones. Tesla getting close, doing it on 2 indicators, not really the MACD though. Amazon lagging behind a little bit. Nvidia still green. AMD is the one trying to confirm right now, and that's kind of crazy. Meta needs more. Microsoft might end up confirming that pretty early. Google might struggle for a sec. AMC, GME struggling. DJT about to confirm in 4 minutes. They're just seeing some wicks come in, but it is going to be confirming in about 4 minutes if everything remains the same. I do not see any other confirmations at this point. It seems things are very on edge, very close, but not fully there yet. I do a custom 5-day, this blue line. But if you want to make a 9-day, just do the SMA thing, right? Go up here, type SMA, moving average simple, click on this bad boy, and then look at that, we have a 9. right? And then I can go into the settings, I can do this, and I can put 1 day, and then I can hit OK. And then now I have this. Now I like to do it so it does that, right? And then I have my 9 day, right? It's that, it literally takes that amount of time. You can rewind a little bit, go through it a couple times to make sure you get it on your chart, but that's literally it. You click about 6 buttons and you got it on your chart. I do not want a 9 day on there, so I will be trashing that. I like the 5 day for these times. I like the 5 day all the time, honestly, now. We're just gonna have to take over the YouTube channel. That's facts, Nat. Do some work here. You know? You gotta take over. I think eventually we will move to mainly subscriber only, but not today, not during these times. We want to leave it open, and people are, as long as people remain respectful. I think on Monday, some people were spamming and doing things that are just distractions from what's going on. So we went to subscriber only that day, but I really like leaving it open for new people to come in. Yeah, it's holding below. Just keeps rejecting off of the 95 line. Bitcoin, actually good. I have not looked at Bitcoin this morning at all. Something for Bitcoin we were noticing was the 2 hour, right? What is a 30-minute chart for extended time frames, right? For an extended, sorry, a stock that trades all the time, or say futures markets. Well, a 30-minute is a 2 hour. Okay, that's how I like to think about it. I like to spread it out a little bit, but the 2 hour here is confirming. So this has confirmed. We haven't taken back the night, but this tells you that a 4 hour upside move is very possible. What does the 4 hour show? It shows divergence, a double bottom divergence. If the 4 hour confirms, you can see a daily move. What does the daily show? The daily shows a divergence on the daily scale, holding almost triple divergence at this point on the RSI. This is almost a golden setup, which we talk about the golden setup in the course. All right, if you want to know what the golden setup exactly is and really how we utilize it, well, you might want to take that course that's down in the description, the full technical analysis course. It's 80% off right now. You can literally get it for like $200. So it's a great time to get it. I try not to talk about it too much because we're going to let that sale go for a little while. I just really want to focus on the market for now, but it is there if you want to learn how we talk about weekly expected moves, monthly expected moves, and what we really look for, and kind of give you like a doubling strategy for more volatile markets, but also you can utilize it all the time. Yeah, probably. I just don't really care. Confirming an upward move, Mendoza. Okay, so Bitcoin, just so you're aware, and I know I talk about it quickly, so thank you for slowing me down. The 2 hour here is showing here. I'll do it slowly just because. And I'm not doing this because I think people are dumb. I'm just like, I want to do it slowly. The 2 hours come down to even lows, right? But your MACD is showing a higher low, which is a good sign. And then that momentum on this bar right here was able to confirm up. You got one hiccup moment, but it still was able to confirm up shortly after. That is a good sign for Bitcoin. That means that this would be the risky time, but also potentially a good signal to start a position. And then the 4 hour, if that would confirm up, that would say I could potentially add to that position. And then if the daily confirms up, I could potentially add to that position if I would like, right? As it gets better, I can keep scaling in, or I can just full on go, hey, yeah, I'm going for it, and just have a good management of the trade setup, right? And if you have no inclination of how to manage your trade actively, not just stop losses, but also actively if something is going wrong, we teach that in the course as well. It's 80% off right now. But yeah, I wanted to go through that slowly. And then you see here the daily divergence across. You had divergence here and here. It didn't show up very well on your MACD, so we wanted to see this. This is very good. And then you see on your RSI, if I blow that up, we're holding all the points. That's fantastic. That's even better. You could lose this point and still look good, but the fact that it's holding it is a very good sign. So we need to see it confirm, though. Got to see that thing confirm. So we'd like to see all these 30 minutes confirm because you pretty much have a 30-minute divergence, but it's on a 2 hour for Bitcoin. And we could go over and look at this and go to a 2 hour and see, oh, okay, that more so looks like a higher low, and that is confirming. We'll see that in 28 minutes. So look at the futures trying to confirm here. The futures are telling kind of a different story. They're saying, we're going to try to do it right now. We can fail, but we're going to try to do it right now. US 100 as well. Confirmed, right? US 2000, not confirmed, but actually has the divergence. So weirdly enough, my mind, I like these plays better. So if IWM would start to do this, or, you know, the Russell 2000 here, if that actually confirmed up, I would like that one better just because I like those things better. There's no other reason. I just like them. That's literally it. A higher low would technically be better for positivity, though. It's just I like how cheap things can be, and I think I like to see if that gets a bigger reaction from a deeper point. But yeah, those things showing green and confirming to the upside, right? It's saying price is slowing down to the downside, and then you're getting that MACD to cross up, giving you that green on the histogram. You're getting that RSI to cross up to give you across that center line, across the signal line, and then go across potentially the center line. You're seeing the price action closing above the 9 on whatever that chart was, the 2 hour. That is all good things. That means good things. That means positive price action can come and is likely to come. And then you look out for failures. Is the bully in school? We aren't friends anymore. Well, it's just people go crazy during these times. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm you don't want someone trading for you, and it's very difficult to do. It's just not a thing that I want to get into. I don't want to put my toes in that. I'd rather help you try to get the skills and try to understand. Like, now it's nice because people understand what I'm saying, but early on during the streams, not a lot of people understood the things that I was talking about. So the streams have gotten a lot better because people are overall understanding over time, which is very nice. Where would you buy a position? What confirmation it should be? Right when I see this 30-minute cross above the 9 and cross on the MACD, I would be making a decision. That's how I like to do things. Now, why would I make such a quick decision all of a sudden? Well, because of where we are at. What did we say we were looking for? Something like this right over here now. It's more volatile, but don't we see an up move, a down move, a divergence, and then it curls up into positive territory, and we go up 5%. So we see an up move, a down move, we curl up into positive territory, and what happens? Well, let's look at the significance of this 30-minute divergence compared to the past. All right, let's do a little line here. Let's just do the RSI. We'll just do the RSI. We'll take those 2 points. All right, so we see the RSI. We take that low point to the high point. We go, okay. Well, we take that RSI over here. If this would confirm right now, look how significant this would be compared to the last one. That's why I'm paying attention. That's why I'm paying attention. Do you know why? That's really important because I can get across this center line really fast on the RSI. I mean, we could do the same thing for the MACD, right? We blow up the MACD. We kind of draw that line and we go, how significant is this? Okay. How's that significant compared to now? Oh. Do you see how good the signal looks now compared to even that previous one that moved us up 5%? So that would tell me, at least from I've watched these things a lot and know that significance of divergence does matter. That would tell me that this could get a stronger move than 5% if everything went well with these signals. If it never failed, then this should technically be a better move than 5%. Well, what is a better move than 5% if this confirms? Well, that's 5% right there. What's a little bit better than that? The weekly expected move at 7.42. So the weekly expected move might be my target, right? And I could take a potentially, you know, with these type of signals in bear market, usually I'm taking 2 weeks and I see a 30-minute. I see if it can get there. If the money looks good before then, I usually get out anyway. But right now, I think we have potential for a squeeze because people are overly bearish. So I'm going to potentially hold this, maybe take some trim off some profit in these areas on select ones that I have. I have to wait a little longer for Amazon. Amazon's got to come back a little bit for me. Teach a man to fish. That's right, Tony. Because I'll be at the zoo on Thursday. Like, what would you do if you were just following someone on YouTube all the time and then they're like, I'm going to the zoo all day? And then signals confirm and you miss out on all of it. And then you chase, and then you might FOMO, and then you make a bad decision, right? It's just too much. You have to consider the lack of liquidity. You are correct. But do squeezes overall have really, really high liquidity the whole time? Or do they more so see a burst of liquidity and then kind of just move up on small liquidity, small volume? You know? And we could always do that liquidity grab up towards 530, 540, 540 most likely, and then curl down again on a 2-hour. So Amazon looking weak? No. It's up 2%. Trying to confirm a signal. Does not look weak. Unless you're talking about weakness to the downside. I mean, you can always see this as like, we can still move down. This has not confirmed. And even if you do confirm, you can fail it, right? And she's back to howling. I'll listen for a sec. Oh, that's right. That was kind of our plan for the day. We're going to try to brush her teeth a little more throughout the day to get her used to it. The course is dope. Get the course. I got it last week. Todd, what you thought it was pretty good? If there's anything I can improve on, I'm always open to feedback, buddy. If there's anything you think we're missing, I'm thinking about talking about a different type of thing on there just to give people an idea with monthly expected moves and the second standard deviation. But yeah, I always am open to feedback. And if there needs to be changes, I'm very open to that. Of course, it's good. I need to watch it again, though. I think there's some key things right now would be a great time to watch that again. And yeah, if I add to it, you always have it. It's not like you get it for a month and it goes away. You always have it. And then if I add to it, you don't have to pay extra. You just get the added content. Oil's at a multi-year low. Oil, let's do it on here, right? Remember, we blow up the time frames a little bit. A 2-hour is a 30-minute now. Well, you have a 30-minute divergence, weirdly enough, but the 2-hour is a 30-minute. What do you see on the 2-hour for oil? Well, let's really draw it out, right? Because this looks very scary. Like this one looks scarier. It doesn't look like the best tapering, but we see a downward move. Okay, awesome. What do we see on our MACD? We see an upward move. What do we see down here on our RSI? Oh, well, we see an upward move. Okay, cool. What's going on? Well, the RSI is already confirmed. That's the early one. The price action tried to. It's kind of consolidating, maybe in the shorter term. But if this 2-hour would just see a good bar here and confirm, it would say, hey, we're likely to curl up a 4-hour. Okay, so let's do it with the 4-hour again, right? 4-hour again, diverges here, diverges there. Okay, so we have 4-hour, right? This is starting to look like a theme. Like things are, it looks like almost everything might turn up. And that would be if these things can really confirm we see that positivity. But thank you guys for telling me your experiences with the course. Also, if you ever have a bad experience with the course, let me know. I want to make it as helpful as possible to you. You know, if something is confusing you still, right? That's the main thing. If something is still confusing you, well, then come back. That's what these live shows are for. Not just to have you get something and then leave you in the dust, right? I want to be here to make sure we're understanding what's going on. All right, let me turn this on for a split sec. Oh, man. Oh, man. Yo, that guy's talking stern right now. I recall all things seem to be trending same direction. Why? Well, everything has the same sentiment. Everyone thinks this will be bad for everything. And now everything is suggesting that if we really look at it across the board, everything was pretty much red. Like almost everything. Okay? So if almost everything was red, and then everything starts to show a 30-minute divergence, everything might see a 2-hour move to the upside. Right? That's as deep as I'll read into it, really. Have we seen confirmations yet of those things? No. So my guess is if I click through all of these stocks again, like we showed the divergences, if I click through all of them, they all will start to see little turn downs right now because they're all reacting very in tandem. Qs are doing it. Hold on one sec. Okay, the girls are going out for a bit. She's going to take her outside because she's moody. But you see how everything is kind of turning down. Everything is kind of turning down. We'll skip TLT for now. But Apple, interesting. That one actually confirmed. That one is still getting that wick in, but it's not really turned down. Tesla getting that wick in. You would say maybe from that wick, turned down a little bit. Amazon, rejecting a little bit. But you see how everything is kind of moving, at least in these, And then we'd probably want to go into some smaller ones like a SoFi, right? That is starting to turn down. DJT starting to turn down. Palantir starting to turn a little bit. All right, so everything is kind of moving its down. JP Morgan started to turn, right? Was going to curl up here, trying to go. Ooh, curls down. So everything is seems in sync to me. Does that mean everything has to reverse around? No, and that's why people diversify, right? Does everything have to squeeze? Potentially not. If they're going to all behave the same, then yeah, maybe. But if not, that's, where diversification comes in. So that's why I ended up taking a small cap stock as well yesterday, right? I took SoFi. I liked the level that it got to. I thought we could see some good news. So I just said, okay, let me see. And then boom, nothing. We get kind of a nothing from it. And that's going to really hurt with the IV because you're just sitting here. And then at the opposite end of that, volatility, right? Volatility. In your eyes, VIX build a bear flag or higher low? You'd have to say higher low right now. If you take out this low, then you would say lower high, right? If you take out these levels and you get a little deeper into here, that would be nice. And then you really would like to see lower high. But if that's anywhere near positive, you still want to be aware that can happen. But if you take this out, you're starting to look like, okay, this is changing, right? We have maybe a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high, just barely. And now we're having potentially another higher low for the time being, right? But if it would take this out, that could be a change because this was our previous higher low. So if that gets taken out in any way, and then we see a reaction, and then we see that, now we have a high, a low, lower low. We have a lower high, a lower low again, maybe, right? So things are at a point where they can shift, but are we at that point where they have shifted? They have not shifted, which means that this could just go bam, right? So watching the SPY carefully here and seeing if there's some kind of massive drop right now, that would wipe out these signals. That would be a very bad thing. Very bad. And those are some things you can watch for, right? Those are some ways you can read into it. Yo, we might, why does panicking sound like a people in a country? Right now, we're all in the country of panic, and we're all panicins. Panic and Skywalker. Time for my meeting. Good luck, everybody. Thanks again, Lucas. Awesome, Embrew. Great questions. Great questions. How could China 84% have the markets green this morning? I don't know. People aren't selling. Was it a meme yesterday? I don't know. Not Navin. Is it Panasite? I don't know about that. I don't know if I like that one. Maybe Panikian? I feel like Panikian sounds real. Yeah, I'm half Panikian. No, it's great, and you covered the basics very well for beginner. I've learned new things as a novice. I think like the thing that I like to say about that course is anything in there I utilize, and that's what I wanted to put in there. I didn't want a bunch of things to make you think like, oh, you have to be this ultimate, insanely intelligent, insanely analytical person. No, you can really just look at things, and it comes down to decision making. Panicleus, the hero of our town. Yeah, once I started to take, I used to have I used to pay for TradingView back in the day. I stopped paying for it for years, but I used to pay for it. I used to have 9 indicators up. How difficult do you think it was for me to make a decision? I was confused. Or I would utilize 9, and if 3 were flashing bad, but 3 were flashing good, I would utilize them. And then I was go, oh, my signals are failing a lot of the time. Maybe I'm using too many things, right? That really helped me out, just looking at markets a little more simply. We can look at markets simply just by learning about monthly expected moves right now, right? What's the more probable thing? What's the bad decision potential? Well, if we build in this area and then we fall through, maybe that would be the next time that something bad can happen. But as of right now, it's saying that most of the probabilities are just saying something like this can happen by the end of the month. Doesn't mean it has to happen now. You could do this, you could go like this, and then curl back up by the end of the month. But 68% chance zone right there. right? Looking at it simply, you turn a chaotic time into a simple time. That's why I have the tattoo. The simplest answer is usually the right answer. I had to tell my wife that with their book, and they were mad at me. But I was like, yeah, sorry, the person you want to be the killer isn't. So, or at least has like a 99% chance not to be. Yeah, I'll look at it on my other chart, and then I'll pull it over if I think it's important, okay? We'll look at it, though, because that one is interesting. Very nice, actually. Very consolidative as of right now. Very still volatile in that consolidation, though. Okay, so you see this? Okay, here we go. So you can see pullbacks. I think you're seeing one right now. You haven't seen the 30-minute cross, but if you look at this and you see it's extended across, it is extended. So I'd take that into consideration and probably blow up the time frame. You know, if it's not showing on a daily, which you potentially have some daily things going on here. If it's the 2 hours really extended, I just want to look at the 4 hour real quick and see if it's holding. It's holding. It's holding. That's a good sign. So if this 4 hour can cross up, it says we're going to see a strong move to take out this high. And we might need to react to levels like, what, 483.50, something like in there. But the daily scale can get going. And how close is the daily going positive? Pretty close, right? Pretty close. So very nice. I don't think this looks bad. I just think it would be a longer term trade because of the daily signals. And then you start to look at the weekly and you go, oh, okay, that's where the 200 is. If the weekly turns up, well, then I'd be really paying attention to 500. And if we can break through 500, hey, this thing could really get going, right? Maybe we react up to the last real breakdown area up here, 542. And if we can consolidate for a period of time, then we can see that thing keep going. Right, very nice. Good luck. I like that one, actually. That was a fun one. It's a little bit different, it's a little more complex, but really, if you just pull out to a 4 hour, it makes it simple, right? I look for the signals that make it really simple to me, right? If I think something can be an opportunity, then I want to make sure it's a very simple opportunity. That's how I like it. And if it wasn't simple, I would potentially just look somewhere else. Panikin sounds like a bird. Home Builders was behaving interesting as well, giving up those reversal signals. We'd be tracking the lower highs into a more bearish long versus bullish sentiments instead. Tracking the lower highs into a more bearish long. I mean, in this environment, you would say yes, right? Anytime you rip, you see a big dip, right? You see it completely sold off pretty much every single time, right? The 9%, 8.5% rips completely sold off. So you would say you're in that environment, but I'm not looking from a even weak perspective. Like, right, I just care what this does now that I've been able to, with the downturn, with the quick sell on Amazon and reposition it with a little bit cheaper price to solidify some of that and take off the hedges. Right, I am potentially taking off hedges today. We'll see if that's going to happen. I have to see about that decision making, but I can reload into positions, make the price nice, and reposition now for 4 weeks from right now. Right, so I'm more thinking what happens 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. And I don't really care what happens in the next, say, 3, 4, 5 trading sessions. I will care in the fact of, is something going wrong for my trade, if that makes sense. But I don't know, maybe I'm not understanding the question perfectly. So pretty much with this reversal signal, it's giving you a reversal signal, and where you would, I think your question is, should we be looking for something to go long on the bear side? Well, if you go long on the bear side, I think you would want to do it more so when you see this move in some way, right? I don't want to go to the bear side now. There is room for it. This would make more sense. Like if I'm on a 15-minute chart or maybe even a day trader on a 5-minute chart and that curls down, well, what could happen? Well, we could go down, right? The trend just continues. Follow the trend, right? We're talking about the trend possibly reversing, but 5-minute turns down, we could cut that low. Right, so day trader might just be watching this and saying, ooh, I like that level. Okay, boom to the downside. And then we take out this low, or we get to that low and maybe that's my target. Right. This would wipe out that 5 minute at least. It might even wipe out the 30-minute signal. Nah, it wouldn't wipe out the 30-minute. You have a lot of room here. But it can happen. You can go all the way down to 473. You can go all the way down to 469.83 today. And it would make sense, the amount of volatility we have. But it just depends on what type of trader you are. And that's why it's difficult to say, because I don't know exactly how is a 5-minute bounce what you're looking at. Is a 30-minute bounce? Is it a 2-hour bounce? What are you kind of looking at? That's more so at an individual basis. Volume overall decreasing. So something might be happening soon. Let me pull up Bollinger's on this real quick. They're decently tight, not the tightest. Woo! What a day. All right. I'm going to do some cleaning up before wifey gets home. I want to vacuum for her. She's working hard on, and Ari's being difficult. So I'm going to vacuum and then come back and look at markets and look at Patreon. So Patreon members, we're potentially putting out that video today. Matthew says, get ready for a rip. Oh, I got a little bit of time. I got a little bit. I got like 10 more minutes. I'll at least watch the rest of this bar. Oh man, it's gonna be hot outside for once. It's just the Midwest pretty much. It's hot for 3 days. It's cold for 5 days. Then it's gonna be hot again for 1 day and probably cold the next day. I hope it's warm for the zoo tomorrow. I'm pumped. Yeah, taking a look at Nvidia, remember that was the higher low and you left behind a gap. So this could be potential. You could also see that dip way down, right? We could go to like 90 or something like that still, and then scoop back up. We'll see. But it's just very hard to break down dramatically further from here unless we see big things confirmed down, like 2-hour charts and things like that. But even if the 2-hour chart confirmed down, if it just whips back up, that's the scenario we're in. Is just, you know, pent up bearishness. A lot of the time you're just looking for those reversals. So we'll watch. We can even stare at a 5-minute for the last bit here and see how this thing would give us a little, maybe an early signal like, hey, this 30-minute might turn around. Right? That would be this, right? You see that? Okay. But if that just wipes out or wipes out on the RSI, you could trail down a lot lower. So it's very cautious environment. Xi Jinping. Wow. We have a lot of people, a lot of United States citizens just like praising Xi Jinping. That is, man, I didn't think I would see that day. I did not think I would see that. Xi Jinping. Wild. Well, VIX is still negative. Is it squeezing or is it just getting a regular move up? Seems like a very regular move up. I mean, it's not through one of these moments yet. That's potential. Trump has a way of bringing people together. VIX doesn't look like it's squeezing to me. Yeah, I don't see squeezing at all here. Not yet. It can, but not yet. Looks like just another 5-minute move, right? The 5-minute trend move kind of happening. Short term. We keep getting rejected from the 502. We keep trying to use it as support, We lose it. We use it as resistance. Notice how much is happening right here. Notice how much is happening here. Notice the tests. Notice the tests. It's a very important level. That's why we practice at the range. That's right, Bernie. I fixed a lot of things, Bernie, though, in that 4 hours. It was nice. I was really having problems with the follow-up shots. I was very slow, and it's because my dot just would totally get completely off. Actually, I'm gonna check and make sure that dot's off. Give me one sec. All right, good. That was making me nervous. I was like, man, I don't want that battery to go out. We're good. That's good, Rajiv. We like that. We like to support our farmers. PCC still sitting pretty high. Down for the day. I think watching the Robinhood line charts are messing me up. Yeah, I don't trust Robinhood too much in general. I think it's fine. It's just, I don't know if I'd trust that charting for sure. Oh, Dowd. Saeed, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you being here. 17 minutes ago, my bad. Yeah. I need to buy a couple batteries for that just in case, but they last pretty good chunk of time. The only thing that was bad was the red dot I have. It doesn't have clicks. Like Hollow Sun, it didn't have clicks. And I was like, man, how am I supposed to zero this thing perfectly? All right, Bretta, have a good one. We're going to see. I could probably stay another 5 minutes or so. It shouldn't take me too long, but see if she texts me. She did text me. Hold on. Yeah, she said they'll be back pretty quick, actually. Have spares for your spares. Exactly. All right, yeah, so I will potentially have to be hopping off right now, guys, but I appreciate you being here for the live stream in the morning. Patreon members, make sure to keep those notifications on. I'm going to be working on a Patreon video in a moment, so we will get you that during market hours in a moment here for Patreon members. If you want to join, it's $7. If you want to give it a try, you get weekly expected moves and a bunch of other stuff, monthly expected moves. You get a ton of stuff over there, and then I give an update video usually once or twice a week, so we'll be watching, but we'll look for what's going on here. Are we going to go down to lower levels? Are we going to get a higher low? The main thing here is just this. Does the 30-minute chart confirm divergence? I think that's the big deal. Now you definitely have it. With this bar right here, it tells you there is divergence here, right? There's divergence formed. So if we see that reaction up, I think we got a good chance to go to the 530, 540 area. We'll see what happens with it, but thank you guys so much for being here today. If you want to join us over on Rumble for the closing stream, for the Power Hour stream, make sure to click that link down there. A lot of links down there. I get it. I'm kind of talking about a lot of links down there. I know you got stuff to do and you got things to trade and things like that. But if you want to join us later this afternoon, check out that link for Rumble. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great day. And I'm getting out of here. I'm going to go, vacuum and then make a Patreon video for you guys. All right. Peace out. And I'll still be live tomorrow on YouTube, just so you're aware. In the morning tomorrow on YouTube, I will be live, just so you're aware. I don't want people thinking we won't be here, but you'll get a notification, so you're good. See you guys.